Hello, this is Stuart in Hawaii again for part 2 of the Corvair V8 Super Sport project. It's January 2015, and in part 1 I showed you a Corvair I had just gotten, 66 convertible, and on the side was what I had chopped out of a 1986 Fiero, that had been converted to a V8 attached to the Getrag 5-speed. So in this part, I want to show you what I've done so far. If you come over here, you can see in the back of the Corvair the engine, transmission, rear trailing arms, all suspension and all sheet metal between the two frame rails has been removed, and you can start to see the engine, how the engine is situated back there. Right now the body is jacked up, and I'll lower that in a minute. But I want to show you what I've cut out of the suspension, where the top of the springs went in the Corvair, which was attached to the frame rail, which was part of the unibody. That's been cut out on both sides up on top in order to make room for the shock towers of the Fiero. So moving to the front of the car, I can show you kind of where we are with regard to the floor pan. There's been some rust in the two floor pans on the passenger side, so that's being fixed, and making some modifications for the seat. But let's move on to the engine. And you can see that the engine, which is I think it's a year 2000 Chevy Ramjet 350, 350 horsepower, 400 foot-pounds of torque, is sitting in the Fiero cradle and chassis. Here's the right side shock tower. That's a part of it, and there's this is the left side, and then there's the right side shock tower over there. So right now this is just sitting in here for fitting. I had to fabricate a front mount for the cradle. It's the black cross member there, which is bolted to the floor of the Corvair from underneath, with two 5/8 grade 8 bolts to hold that in place. And now the challenge is to set the body on top of the Fiero shock towers and frame, and then also adjust the height of that assembly with coilover shock absorbers, which I recently fitted to the car with 275 pound-per-inch springs. So now what I want to do is I'll just lower the car. You can stand right here, and as I lower the car, you'll start to see how the car body and the frame move as I set the weight of the Corvair down on top of the Fiero frame rails. So the car's been set on some temporary blocks of wood to get the right supports. Turned out to be a lot more work getting this thing centered in 3 dimensions and square with the center line of the car, and deciding how high the car needs to be in relation to the wheels. I want to show you the wheels here. Let me shut this door. These are the stock Fiero 15x7 wheels. I've had them sandblasted and powder coated to the closest color to chrome, and mounted BF Goodrich 225 7015 TA radials on that. And so that's obviously the stock Fiero wheel bolted to the stock Fiero frame, which has the disc brakes up front here. I wanted to use the same wheel, you know, again off the Fiero, and this has got a 205/60/15 BF Goodrich TA radial, and as you might know, the bolt pattern for the Fiero wheel is different than the Corvair, and so I had to install a set of hub adapters to the front, but it looks like it sits out just about right. And right now the car has a little bit higher stance in the rear by a couple degrees, and hopefully I'm going to be lowering that to about level. So that's it for part 2, and hopefully part 3 will be done in a couple months, and we'll be able to show the engine fully bolted in and in running condition.